Meanwhile, in South Florida, there's been plenty of talk about whether or not, when it's all said and done, the Dolphins will move on from receiver Tyreek Hill. They apparently will be moving on from cornerback Jalen Ramsey. NFL media reports that both sides will explore trade options. He's already gotten a $4 million roster bonus for this year, and he's owed another $21.1 million. He's 31, best days behind him. That's a little rich. That's
and
a little rich.
They gave him a new extension last year, right? That put him back up towards the top of the market. And again,
right after Patrick Surtain.
I just want, because I haven't researched
right after
all
Patrick
this,
Surtain got his.
No, right, exactly. Why? What? Why? You talk about doing dumb things as a football team.
Don't say the thing you said during the break about what the Dolphins are.
Well, yes, they like their stars, and their stars like to give it back to them. Okay, they like their stars, and they do anything for them, and then their stars screw them over because they're so get a star. Who the hell cares about the team? Let's just get a star. That's what they seem like. It is, and then the meat and potatoes of their team is the part that's suffering. And then you wonder why they can't win a tough, close, physical football game. It's because, your team's all about South Florida stars power. That's all it's about. So that's the issue there. Yes, that was dumb to re-extend him. He's no longer one of the top 5 corners in football. He hasn't been for a while. He's a good secondary player. Yeah. But, he's not lock him down, Patrick Surtain, Sauce Gardner, right? The Derek Stingley down in Houston. Nowhere. Not even in the same stratosphere as them as covering a receiver. So, that to me is crazy. It's crazy that he's that high on the list. And, again, it's just crazy. The Dolphins are full of bad contracts, and this is why they're in a predicament right now. What happened here? In 1 year, he was the best secondary player in football, and in 1 year, now we don't want each other anymore? That's what I'm interested to find out here.
Patrick Surtain got his extension with a new money average of $24 million during training camp just before the start of the season.
The NFL Defensive Player of the Year.
Right. And right after that, days after that, here comes Jalen Ramsey at just a little tick above. That's a vanity contract. Anytime you see somebody come in that little bit above the last guy, that's for the ego of the player, the ego of the agent, or both. It's got to be just right. And you look at the contract and you look at how many years are left and where the guarantees are, and it really is amazing to me that they'd be considering a trade now when they have paid him and it looks, I need to research this a little bit more, because based on what I'm looking at SpotRack, that the $21.1 million they might have done a restructuring, which makes it even more ridiculous that they'd be trying to trade him now. They've already paid him more than $4 million if they did indeed restructure the contract. But I'm getting the impression, looking at this, that they have restructured the deal,
which is going to be right.
Which, if that's true, that's not good for the Dolphins to be trading him now. It just makes you wonder what the hell happened. It makes you wonder how we got here.
Yes.
And we were talking about this during the break as well. All due respect to Jalen Ramsey. And from a business standpoint, we praise guys like Kirk Cousins. Jalen Ramsey's done a great job of getting paid. How long has it been since he was truly a top-end corner?
Well, I know. I got dragged the last time, right, by a few guys in the NFL when I said, man, Jalen Ramsey's not even a top 3 or 5 corner anymore when he went from the Rams to the Dolphins. I remember Quandre Diggs and Darius Slay. They kind of came at me on social media, and I was like, nah, the top corner in football doesn't get traded for a 3rd-round pick. I'm sorry. That just doesn't happen. No way. At no point. So, they were wrong about that, and they can eat it as far as that conversation is concerned. But, yeah, his end at the Rams, you've heard me say this. You've heard other people say this. His last year at the Rams, year and a half, he was the guy when people saw him outside, they were like, we're going to go after him. Like Tom Brady in the divisional game that year, like Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins during the Super Bowl. He was the guy they looked at to go, I like that matchup. That's what's crazy. It is. He's a good tackler. He's a good player. He's an awesome secondary hybrid type of guy. But he's not the guy you make the highest paid corner in football. That you don't do. That's bad business by Miami, and that's just, they're in a predicament that way.
Aaron Donald saved him from being the GOAT of GOATs in Super Bowl 56. He fell down on what would have been go-ahead touchdown, long pass to Jamar Chase. Aaron Donald got through to Joe Burrow before Burrow could get rid of the ball. He fell down. And look, that happens, but he would have been, I mean, if that's how that Super Bowl would have played out, a long touchdown pass from Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase after Jalen Ramsey fell down, that'd be one of those highlights we see every time we talk about Super Bowl 56. It'd come around every year. How that dramatic moment that Jalen Ramsey fell down trying to cover Jamar Chase in the play of his life, and Aaron Donald bailed him out. So
it's going to be interesting what that contract situation is, and because this is breaking news, we didn't get the chance to really diligently look it all up. But yeah, did they convert some stuff here? Now where if they do trade him, it's going to be a huge hit on their cap, which also could make it more better. The team might want to trade for him, knowing, hey, okay, you guys have paid him, that's good, and maybe that helps the situation out. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the best thing for the Dolphins.
I got to go back to the original breakdown we did last year when he did the contract, but I'm looking at the base salary that SpotRack has listed at $1.255. That tells me they've restructured down to the minimum, and they've kicked the can on the other salary he was due to make this year. You turn it into a bonus, you spread it over multiple years, but if you're already paid that money, what do you do? And I guess it does make it easier to trade him, but holy shit, it drives up the cap charge if you trade him before June 1. And I'm just looking at some of these numbers that are out there for what he's already gotten, Chris.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling, I think it was an option bonus that got prorated. I think that's what it was. But regardless, you're going to have some massive cap charges, especially if he's traded before June 1, because it's all going to hit this year if they've paid him the bulk of his money for 2025. And it just makes you wonder how we got to this point. How did this happen that all of a sudden, this late, relatively speaking, in the offseason, we've gotten past the start of the new league year, we've gotten past free agency, and now, boom, Jalen Ramsey's available.
That's odd in itself. You're right.
Who's going to be interested in him at this point? Who's going to say, especially a week before the draft, oh, well, we're considering the high-end corners, but we can get Jalen Ramsey? Who's going to say that?
I don't think that this will be, we go through the draft, then we reevaluate where we are, and then we talk to the Dolphins is what I would expect. But I'm with you with that. I think it's really odd. The timing of it's odd. I don't know what went down, but yeah, it has the look, and I'm not saying I'm right here. It has the look of a guy that's going, wait, I don't like the way things look here as this team and what's going on and all that. I don't know if I want to be here anymore for all this, right? I'm not sure. I mean, that's what it has the look of right now, because I feel like if the team would have already known if the player didn't fit in the plans or they wanted to move on, to your point. And this would have all come out 5, 6, 7 weeks ago. I just have a hard time believing that the team all of a sudden, like on April 14th, was like, let's talk about Jalen Ramsey and where he fits into our plans. If they were just having those conversations yesterday, then they are not very good organization in planning or looking at things. So that's why I say it has the look of, the player has looked at things and all of a sudden says, I don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. At a time when they're trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do with Tyreek Hill, who had an off-field incident last week, and that was the dominant storyline, and maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back for Jalen Ramsey. Maybe he's had enough Tyreek Hill. When Tyreek Hill publicly said, I don't want to be in Miami anymore, and they had players twisting themselves into verbal pretzels to make excuses for Tyreek Hill on locker cleanout day, Jalen Ramsey wasn't one of them. Jalen Ramsey may be a guy who says, hey, man, the guy don't want to be here. Why are you kissing his ass? Why are we doing this? Why are we looking the other way on this stuff? How much are we going to put up with here? The guy, because I look at it this way. What we hear and see publicly is just a sliver of what the guy's like privately. And there's a chance that Tyreek Hill lets Jalen Ramsey know he ain't Jalen Ramsey no more. There's a chance that there's friction there between those guys, especially on the practice field, as Tyreek Hill zooms right by him. So I wouldn't be surprised if the team's decision to continue to circle the wagons for Tyreek Hill has caused Jalen Ramsey to say, get me the hell out of here.
I don't either. Something there, definitely. And I'll be interested to kind of figure out what it is here, but very odd timing for that caliber of player and for a team to be making this caliber of a move right now at this moment. Yeah, something's off kilter for sure.
Well, that's like top item as soon as we're done today. I'm going to figure out more about this contract, what was paid, when it was paid, what would be left, what the cap hit would be pre-June 1, post-June 1, and ultimately who's interested. I just have a feeling they're going to have a hard time finding a team that would react the same way the Rams did when he was available from the Jaguars, the same way the Dolphins did when he was available from the Rams. And again, it's astounding that they gave him that big contract to surpass Patrick Surtain last year, right after Surtain got to the high watermark for cornerbacks. And they didn't have to do it. They did it. And now it looks like it's over. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.